fun kind of, they're fun to play physically, I think, right? Right, so all that kind of neat stuff you get to do. Like zinging up high and doing all the double stops and all that kind of stuff. So you're doing a very, very good job. As I listen to you, I can start maybe with a kind of a big picture thing. And then once we get the big picture idea, then we can see what kind of details we come from the big picture, right? Sometimes it's good just to stand back and see the biggest thing, right? Okay, good. So the idea is that you know as a violinist, as a soloist, what the first 3 rules of being a soloist are. Uh-oh. You don't? Well, let me teach, I'll tell you the first one. The first rule of a soloist is to be heard. It doesn't even think of, they can't hear you, right, Mom? You're up there, you spent money on the pretty dress, you got all the makeup on, and they can't hear you. Right? Plus the orchestras, you don't play loud enough to play with the orchestra. What do you think the second rule of being a soloist is? Be heard. Which sets up, what is the third rule of being a soloist? Be heard. Yes. Okay, so you've taken very much to heart that to play the violin, it takes a lot of energy, and you've got to create a lot of sound, and you've got to project, and you've got to dig in, you've got to play, and it's got to have lots of energy, right? Yeah, but the idea is that I think what we need to find is have to find the ways to be more poetic and find the places where we can actually relax when we play. Oh, should violin be 100% pain or 99% pain? Let's shoot for 99. And eventually, we may get down to 0% pain, and that's when violin playing becomes effortless and it's easy and it looks fun, and we're still making the big, beautiful sound, right? So what happens is and this is French music, which is particularly good for this, right? Because in French music, there's an overemphasis on the diminuendo at the end of all the phrases, right? So the phrase, but you're going. I wonder why you're being so mean to the end of the phrase. You see, in the French style, right, it's like the last note of the phrase is you got a little feather in your hand. Da 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 da. Aha. So the idea is that we have to know when to zig and when to zag, when to dig in, when to let go, but overall we have to find a way of playing that doesn't make it sound like we're always kind of forcing the sound a little bit, right? So it needs to be big, but what we want to do is if we push down too much into the string, then we're actually stopping the sound rather than whoa. Listen to this. What we want to do is we want to find a way to efficiently release as much sound as we can, not beat the sound out of it, right? Because the more that we scrub, then eventually we're not making any sound if I scrub too hard, right? So let's just do something. So there's the big picture. I want your sound to be not sound forced. I want it to be open and free and big and beautiful, and I want you to release the sound to the world so that you can be heard, rather than try to force the sound out there by pushing out a window. Right? Go, ah! You can't force the sound out of a 10-story window, right? You have to ask it to jump, right? So what my statement is we never tell the violin to do anything. We always ask it. We always say please. So rather than say play, I say please. That philosophy changes my whole approach to the instrument, right? And I'm able to play big, but you know, do you get tired when you practice? Your arm get tired? When I was performing and doing recording and stuff, I was practicing 6 and 8 hours a day. There's no way if I'm, Mom, I'm stuck. You just get stuck that way, right? So I want to find some of the ideas we can talk about to free up your violin playing, to make the same big tone, to be heard, be heard, be heard, but to do it in a relaxed way where we find a way to release the tone out of the violin rather than push the tone into the violin and hope it comes out. See the idea? So there's the big picture. All right, so let's start with some basic tonalization exercise. Tonalization means we're working on tone, right? So to play the violin, you put the bow on the string and you move it back and forth, right? First mistake already. Yep. You see, most students who are about this tall, oh, you're about that tall, think that you put the bow on the string and you just move it back and forth, that the violin is two-dimensional, right? No. When my bow is on the string, it's almost never going two-dimensional. My bow is always doing three-dimensional. Ah, this is not bowing, this is bowing. Ah, a whole new world. Aha. So let's take an exercise and let's try something. We can just do it on one note, but this would be good. That would be a good place to do it eventually, right? But watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take a note, but watch my bow. Sounds kind of poetic. It sounds like instead of telling the violin to play, I'm saying, please, can you be polite? All right, let's put the bow up there. All right, now this first exercise, Mom, is called bow waves. The idea in bow waves is that you learn that your bow doesn't, when I start like the beginning of the Barber Concerto, which I just played, or the Brewer,